Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Good evening, Hannah.
Good evening, and how are you?
I'm doing good. All things are good right now, I feel like. Weather's getting nicer outside.
It is. It got
Yeah.
up in the 80s today.
Yeah, it was pushing 80s for sure. It always puts me in a better mood. Good weather and sun and all that stuff. Some may not be in a good mood so much that the Mandalorian has finished this past week. So we will talk about the finale of season 3. A very interesting finale, I will say myself. Not that it wasn't good, but just a lot of stuff to unpack there. And then, just a couple little bits of news that popped up. Not really much coming out since Celebration, but there are a couple things out there. But first and foremost, again, thank you to our patrons, as always, for supporting the show. This is episode 395, so we've got the big number 400 coming up here soon. It's not timing out to be right at Star Wars Day, but that's all right.
It's close enough.
It is close enough. Yeah, it will probably be a few weeks after that, but Star Wars Day, is in 2 weeks. So you've got the second volume of Star Wars Visions dropping that day. I don't know if I expect too much more than that. Maybe another Ahsoka thing, trailer, possibly.
Maybe.
I guess, but if so close to Celebration, I don't think there's going to be anything.
I would love it if there were some behind the scenes or some first looks at Acolyte.
Oh, I know. Yeah. That would be pretty awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
But they're still shooting that thing, so it's.
Well, that's what I mean, behind the scenes, training.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Lightsaber battle training, or something very BTS.
Yeah, I think they did. They've done that before, with Andor, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they did something like that with Andor. Yeah, very good. So, on a Thursday, Star Wars Day, you know what I thought about doing, which they're re-releasing Return of the Jedi in theaters.
Yes.
And it's playing, at least I think it's only playing one time in Lexington. Well, it's opening next weekend, so it's playing next weekend. But the last day that it's out is Star Wars Day, and it's only I only see a 11:40 showing.
Oh no!
But that would be pretty cool to see that on Star Wars Day.
That would be.
Although it is playing on Wednesday, the day before, so I thought maybe I go see it Wednesday or something like that. So
well, there you
I don't
go.
know. Return of the Jedi in the theater, that would be pretty cool. I haven't seen that in a long time. I don't even remember the last time I guess it had to have been special editions. Because they never did that one. Or if they did a re-release of it, I don't think I saw it. So anyway, yes, Return of the Jedi is coming to some theaters starting next weekend for its 40th anniversary. So yeah, that's a great thing to do, going out there. The only bit of news that I thought that was even really interesting to mention was apparently there are rumors that John Boyega is possibly in talks to join this Rey movie, as well. Not that he's expressed too much interest in it, but rumors are rumors, and there's rumors that he's apparently negotiating some return. Now he's gone back and forth about saying whether or not he'd ever come back and do this. he did say pretty definitively that as long as Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams were involved, he'd do it. But J.J.'s not involved in this movie, obviously. So,
Right.
So maybe the fact that Daisy Ridley's on it would let him come back. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Excited for Finn to come back?
His story is done. I want a whole slate of new characters. That's kind of what I want.
Well, he kind of has that Force sensitive thing going. So there is some exploration there, I believe. Like Poe's, I think you're right about Poe. I don't know how much more story Poe has necessarily, but
the only story that honestly that I'd love to see with Poe is a buddy cop type of TV show between Poe and Finn.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I think Finn, I think the Force sensitive thing with Finn and Finn being a Jedi, I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, I guess.
I think it could be.
It could be. I'm not holding my breath, nor am I going to be pouty about the whole thing.
Yeah. Now, if he comes back as a Jedi and then turns to the dark side, I'll be a little upset by that probably, or maybe not. Maybe that actually is interesting.
Well, that's a plot twist.
Yeah. And then he had to fight Rey, kind of thing. So that could be interesting. It could be.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think John Boyega, though, is actually a really good actor.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
Yeah, I saw him in a few things, like little bit parts here and there before he actually did The Force Awakens, and I thought he was a really, really brilliant actor. So
he's fantastic. So is Daisy. They're both fantastic actors.
Absolutely. So that's really the only thing I really saw. There's obviously, big expectations and whatnot for Ahsoka, which is going to be the next show coming up. So a lot of people starting to talk about that, even right at the really right after Mandalorian, finished premiering and all that stuff. So, so let's talk about that. The season finale of The Mandalorian, chapter 24. Titled The Return. I think we can kind of figure out what that means. Mm-hmm. But this thing picks up literally the next frame after the last episode, with our group of Mandos running from the trap that was sprung by Moff Gideon. So Din Djarin is captured and being taken to interrogation. So shorter episode than I think last week's. Last week's was a little longer. This week's only about 39, 40 minutes. But a lot got packed in here, I feel like. So what did you think about the finale of season 3?
This is the way. This is Star Wars. Like, I think this was like the episode I was hoping to see the entire season. We get Mandalorians in this huge battle. We see the Darksaber really in action. We see everyone fighting. We see Grogu stepping up with regards to both his Force abilities and like growing up. He's maturing. He's becoming braver and braver as he gets older. We still don't know who the second spy is from the episode The Spies, but I just thought it was a great episode. I thought it felt very Star Warsy without Jedi in it. And I feel like that's what made Andor feel so Star Warsy too. I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like this is the Mandalorian we've been almost kind of craving to see all season, and we finally got it.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
I don't know if. See, I think I don't know how it started. Really, I guess it started on social media, but I don't really know if we should be looking that any more deeper into the spy.
Oh, really?
No, because I think I don't know. I think the spies. Part of me is like I think it may have a different meaning than what everybody's kind of thinking, because obviously people are obviously going with Elia Kane as one of the spies, right? The one that was talking to Moff Gideon, but I don't know if anybody in the Mandalorian group is a spy. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I answered my own question, actually. I think I knew who the other spy is.
Oh, who's that?
It's based on a theory that we talked about right before recording, but I first want to hear what your thoughts are on this season finale.
Oh, well, I really liked it. Obviously, I think the build up all season long was the return to Mandalore. I actually, part of me felt like, we weren't going to get there yet. I felt maybe this might linger on till next season. As far as the entire group, like you could have almost made the argument that just the goal of this season was just getting the Mandos together and not fighting each other, and then finding a way to Mandalore. But this moved pretty quickly over these last couple episodes. I feel like getting everybody together and then actually physically going there. And even like when Bo-Katan was talking about it, we need to just take a small party down to look around. It's like, well, you can spend a whole episode just looking around, but which they end up doing, and they or not a whole episode. I mean, a whole episode, a few episodes or season to just kind of scour the planet and find out if there's a way of living. But they moved pretty quickly, and which is good because you're not wasting time, you're not wasting scenes. Man, just seeing a bunch of Mandalorians flying around and fighting, especially fighting in the air. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, yeah, visually it's very appealing and very exciting. Din Djarin, I look back and just kind of skimmed through it. It's like, how many fights did he fought? The people that were the guys that were taking him. Then he fought that whole list, whole crew of bandos going down that hallway with the ray shields.
Yes.
Then he fought the Praetorian guards, and then he fought Moff Gideon. I mean, there wasn't anybody he didn't fight. And it's amazing. It's amazing. The stamina he had, the ability he had to stay. Obviously, he had a little bit of help with Grogu and all that stuff, and Bo-Katan. But I mean, yeah, he was a lot of fighting in that short period of time.
Yes.
But the action in this was phenomenal, and I guess we'll get to it a little bit. But I guess the only thing that really kind of threw me off was, to be honest, was the ending.
Yes.
We'll get there, but I was like, I was really kind of thrown off by that. So anyway, what were you saying about the spy?
I think the spy's Moff Gideon.
Oh, okay.
Because, and I saw this on social media, I don't think he's dead.
Right, that's a good question to go into. So, so the shot is he's standing there when that Star Destroyer is kind of going down, and it kind of gets engulfed in flames. Now, it's interesting. I think the theory you're saying he's not dead because of...
So when we see him in seasons 1 and 2, he has facial hair. When we take a look at the clones in stasis pods, they don't have facial hair. Who doesn't have facial hair in season 3? Moff
Yeah.
Gideon. When we see him in that final fight, he does not have facial hair. So there's a huge chance that the OG Moff Gideon is still alive. And that was just a clone.
And that would be interesting, yes. Because granted, the simple explanation could be that he just shaved.
I know, but what?
I get it though. I get that's a way to throw you off and to, hide the fact that he is alive.
We spent a lot of time on that shot on Moff Gideon's clone's face. Like a lot of time, a little more than necessary, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Well, I will say though that when it first happened, I was totally like, well, he's got Beskar armor that doesn't burn, so
he's
purely not dead.
Well, he's going to die from the stuff from like smoke. What do you call it?
Smoke inhalation.
Yes.
I mean, it probably has some filter, I'm assuming, on it, right?
Okay, well, what about the heat? He's practically baking in an oven.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there was a couple times when
armor is temperature controlled.
It might be. I mean, there was a couple times there when Din was getting flamethrowered, but like nothing was catching on fire. Like not even his cape was catching on fire.
But even so, that was like for 3 seconds. This was like for a solid 30 seconds.
But you didn't see it though. You only saw him getting engulfed. You never know. He could have like jetted away or.
Okay. That's true too.
I mean, I'm always will speculate death if I never see a body.
Well, and how did that work out for Phasma?
I know. And honestly, no, everybody thought that she survived. I mean, I don't think there was anybody that thought, well, she died because she kind of fell, right?
Right.
And it wasn't until the director had to come out and basically, Lucasfilm had to basically come out and said, no, she died. It's like, oh, well, okay. So that was interesting. But that's true because she died falling in a bunch of flames. But to be honest, that's an interesting thought because I did not go there that is a clone.
I didn't either until I saw this post on social media. And then I was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, that's a really interesting theory because that would work. Mm-hmm. But I guess would it though? And only in the fact that would mean he truly did somewhat accomplish his goal. I mean, it was interesting to finally hear that. Mm-hmm. So the goal, really, the whole thing about Grogu was to create a clone that's force sensitive.
Right. And, that also kind of explains how Palpatine, even though Palpatine himself is force sensitive, it's, it's just showing more of the cloning and the research behind it. But that doesn't mean he wouldn't have a clone just in case. They weren't ready. They weren't ready to his expectations.
Yeah.
So it could be.
And I guess definitely one question that I hope gets answered at some point is that really all it takes is to find a force sensitive person because if he figured that out, that's a pretty incredible discovery.
Yeah.
Because, the thing about it is if we stick to what George has really established, and I know a lot of people out there don't really agree with it, but, the midichlorians in the bloodstream is really what makes people aware of the Force. What we've learned, obviously, from the Force, the prequels, is that the more midichlorians you have, the more likely you are to be able to discover the Force. Yoda having the most up until Anakin getting discovered, right? So now Grogu, we don't really know his midichlorian count. We assume maybe it's high. We don't know. So this does then, I guess this does solidify that he was able to extract some blood from Grogu And I guess this is what Dr. Pershing was talking about in his talk, that he was able to take some of Grogu, some of Gideon, and put it together, and it actually worked. So the question then becomes, so does Palpatine not ever receive this research? Is this even for Palpatine?
I was about to say, does Palpatine even need it? Because he's Force sensitive.
Well, he can't, but as we've learned from the sequel trilogy, is he never figured it out.
Well, and then didn't Moff? Yeah, Moff was kind of leading his own charge, I think. So maybe he was trying to,
right? Because you remember he was kind of arguing with Hux in that council. That Hux was like, "What are you trying to do your own cloning?" He's like, "No, cloning's your thing." Mm-hmm. So he clearly wasn't trying to let everybody in on the secret that he was trying to clone himself,
right,
and make him Force sensitive, because it sounds like he has his own agenda going on here.
Absolutely.
And he ain't worried about what ultimately is going to be the big bad of this universe, is Thrawn coming at all. So that's how I'm kind of interpreting what's happening, is that Gideon is truly on his own, and he's not worried about the Palpatine. He's not worried about, he probably doesn't even know. I'm assuming at right now, at this point in time, that everybody in that Shadow Council has no idea what's happening in the unknown regions right now.
Oh, I think the same thing too, and I think that's why it's kind of cool it ended the way it did. So now we have this character who could be the one to wave the red flag whenever Thrawn or the Chiss or whatever is coming from the Outer Rim.
Unknown regions, yeah.
Or unknown regions, sorry. Which is beyond the Outer Rim. So, correct. I don't... Yeah, but all that research would be destroyed, right?
I'm assuming it is all in that base.
Yeah. He would have kept it very close to his chest.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why, I think that's why they did what they did to Dr. Pershing, so that research can never be found or discovered again. Mm-hmm. It basically got buried, and which is, again, Palpatine. If Palpatine was able to capture that research and use it, he could have, to me, he could have simply easily cloned himself and come back. I think his acolytes, the follower, the Sith Eternal, I think they were the ones trying to figure out how to clone him, and it wasn't working. So it's just interesting that they went that route, and I like Gideon. Yeah, it seems like Gideon is truly just power hungry to want to control the galaxy himself.
Yeah, he's a lone wolf,
and he felt like he needed the Force and probably the Darksaber to be that powerful, I guess.
Well, now nobody gets the Darksaber.
That was a little weird.
I kind of like. I feel like.
Did you like that there's no more Darksaber, or do you think she'll put it back together?
I think it symbolized something. I think it symbolized that, especially with his line so close of like, you Mandalorians, you're so weak. Take away your toys, you're so weak. Mm-hmm. And she says, no, we're strong together. I think the destruction of the Darksaber was just symbolic in the fact that you now don't need something to symbolize your leadership.
Yeah, leadership, yeah.
Your people, their support is what makes you a leader.
Yeah.
You being for them being for you, this relationship and this strength combined versus the strength of one person. Mm. So I liked it in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and I truly like the fact to think that even if it wasn't destroyed, to me I feel like it's still a lightsaber. It still belongs to a Force sensitive person, in my opinion. Like, yes, it's almost kind of a ridiculous symbol of leadership in a sense. Like, whoever holds the Darksaber, it's like that doesn't equal leadership, like you just said. That doesn't equal the ability to take care of an entire planet of people and and lead people and stuff like that. That doesn't give you that ability. What it gives you, it gives a Force wielder the ability to truly defend themselves and be able to keep the peace. So I would have loved to see, it being held by possibly another Force sensitive Mandalorian. Grogu in a sense, right?
That would have been really cute.
I know, right? So have you seen those? There's like tons of like concept art of like a grown up Grogu with the Darksaber.
and like a Grogu species designed helmet. Like,
yes, exactly. So, I agree with you. I think the Darksaber has, in a sense, served its purpose, and not really needed anymore. And honestly, I know I said, I just asked, will she repair it? Technically, I don't think anybody that's not Force sensitive could repair it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So
they got to wait how many years until Grogu can?
Yeah, no. Until he talks, I guess, and then he could take the creed. Darksaber's gone. Gideon may or may not be alive.
Dave Filoni is still chilling at the cantina.
He is, yeah. So let's kind of dive into this ending a little bit, because I think it was interesting because, if Moff Gideon is alive, let's just think about this. If he's still alive, we know, as people that cover Star Wars like crazy, we know that these shows are all interconnected with, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew's coming. And we know that this thing is fully building towards Thrawn.
Yes.
So does it make sense the way that this ended with Grogu and Din Djarin kind of on their own now, kind of exploring the galaxy until Grogu's of age, in a sense? I mean, does it make sense right now that a surviving or the actual Moff Gideon would still be alive out there and cause any problems in this series?
I don't know. I did scroll to the end of the credits to see if there was a post-credit scene.
Yeah, there wasn't.
So, yeah, it does feel very like this is the end of their story type of thing for Din Djarin and Din Grogu.
Yeah.
But I think it sets it up, because now that's his only goal. So now he kind of has that bandwidth, he has that freedom to immediately join the fight if something were to happen. The bounty hunter job gave him that freedom like it did at season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's like, oh, isn't this happy? And then all of a sudden, Thrawn's going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind it. I didn't mind.
Well, I think because of the ending we saw with them kind of sitting there, I feel like that was almost Favreau and Filoni telling us, like, okay, this part of the story is done. Like, the Moff Gideon story is done. That chapter is over now.
So he is dead.
I'm leaning. First, I'm with you. I was like, there's no way he's dead. He survived. But now, after I saw that scene, then, and I rewatched that scene, I was like, man, I mean, because that clearly could have been a series finale.
No, it absolutely could have. So maybe you're right. Maybe that's just the end of this chapter of their story. Maybe. I think we're in for a pretty, again, my opinion, I think we're in for a pretty significant time jump. Yeah.
Now. I think once Ahsoka comes out once Skeleton Crew comes out, I mean, we're going to be another. It's at least another year until we even get a season 4. Because will we even get a season 4 before we get into this movie that Filoni's doing, or is there another season of Book of Boba Fett that's possibly going to happen?
Oh my gosh!
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen before we even get back to Din Djarin, unless they make appearances in these shows. Wow. Ahsoka, does Ahsoka? We obviously know that Thrawn is going to make an appearance in Ahsoka, but is he actually going to be the massive villain that we know he's gonna? You know what I mean? Like, I think there's still a lot of setup that's going to happen.
Right.
So I mean, my prediction right now is that Moff Gideon, that whole cloning thing, like I kind of feel like that story's done, and then. All the Mandos are on Mandalore now. I think the next time we see that, they're going to be a lot more established. There's going to be, that's why I think there's going to be a pretty good time jump, because I think they want Mandalore to be, they're trying to get Mandalore back into the fold of being part of the galaxy and whatnot. So,
well, you got a good point there.
Anyway, that's kind of where my head was going with it, because it was just so crazy to see them just lounging around, and the wipe kind of came down and just focused on them for a second, like, all right, get your last shot of these guys, because you're not going to see them for a little while. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you're right.
And there's no lingering, and there's really nothing lingering, right? There's no. I mean, the only question that I kind of have is like, which is not really that important, I feel like, but like Elia Kane, like, she was never caught. So she's technically, who is she serving now? Like, to
the highest bidder, I guess.
I guess. Or is she going to maybe just say, well, that's done. Maybe I need to just join the Republic. I doubt it, but do you think we see her again at all?
I have no idea. She might fall under allegiance with Thrawn. Because for all she knew, Moff Gideon could have been telling her, like, oh yeah, Palpatine and Thrawn, they're in the loop.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know if she even knew. I mean, she might not have even known about the Shadow Council.
Oh, she might not have.
You know what I mean?
I have no idea. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I guess only time will tell.
I feel like her thing was a little left unfinished. So, but other than that, you got Bo-Katan and the armor, and them kind of established on what they're doing right now. They got the fires of Mandalore all burning again and all that stuff. So it's rebuilding. They're rebuilding again. So anyway. It seems like, we know Favreau is working on a season 4, so we will be getting a season 4 at some point. And then, of course, the movie. But,
yes.
So, yeah, what else? Anything else to say about it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, because I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter about this. How do you feel about the fact that we never saw Pedro's face?
I'm okay with it.
Because there are a lot of people upset about that.
Why?
Well, he is the lead actor, and a lot of people are Pedro Pascal fans. I thought it was interesting that we never saw his face. Now, I think I know why. I think it's simply the fact that they couldn't get him on set ever.
Oh.
He was doing other stuff, like he was doing The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
He shot that for a long time, and he probably just recorded his lines in between doing that show. So I think physically they just couldn't get him there.
Right.
And you can make the argument that this season really focused on Bo-Katan more than it did Din. That's why we saw Katie Sackhoff's face more. I'm not upset. I'm not that upset by it. I think it's odd that you have a lead actor that you based a show around and you never see his face. Like,
well, we never saw his face in Mandalorian. Wait,
you saw his face every season.
In season 1, we saw his face.
Yeah, at the very end, he had to take it off so he can get his head fixed because he had it injured.
I must have completely forgotten about that part.
Yeah, when they were in the they were in the cantina or in that bar, and then Gideon blew it up and he got injured, and then IG had to take his mask off to heal him.
Did not remember that at all.
Oh yeah, and then season 2, obviously he took it off a couple times. One as an Imperial, and then the other one to Grogu. Mm-hmm. So you would think this season to stick with, not breaking the creed, you can do exactly what you did with Katie Sackhoff. He goes off and eats and he just takes his helmet off, But again, I don't think it was a creative decision. I think it was the fact that they couldn't get Pedro there at all.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm not. Yeah, you're not.
No, I'm not.
Didn't
mad.
bother you?
No.
Yeah. Plus, there's definitely rumors around about there was always this contract riff, between him and Lucasfilm and all this stuff. But who knows about all that? Yeah. Okay. So what's next? Next is Ahsoka.
Yes.
Skeleton Crew. Mm-hmm. Which I believe we're going to get both of those by the end of this year.
All right.
Because I was just thinking, like, where does this... I don't know where the Mandalorian show goes besides starting to truly link itself with these other shows.
Yeah.
And Thrawn, I guess.
I think that's the only direction you can take it.
Yeah.
That makes the most sense anyway.
Yeah, because I thought for a second when the armor brought up Grogu's parents that it was like that was the next mission.
Find his parents. And we get to learn more about the species that we literally know nothing about.
I know. But he adopted them and that was it, so which I kind of thought he already adopted him anyway.
I guess he just had to make it legal or make it official or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Because even Bo-Katan was calling him like your dad.
Go get your kid.
Go get your kid. Yeah, your kid. Yeah, exactly. But no, it's interesting to see these two together. And stay together like this. So that's why I think that the next step for this thing is a big time jump. I think they're just going to be. I think we're going to be surprised. I think we're going to be surprised the next time we see Grogu. I think he's going to be a little bigger. I think he's going to be more agile. I think he's going to be able to handle himself a lot more.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. I guess he shows up in. Do you think he shows up in Mandalorian or in the? You think they show up in Ahsoka?
I don't know.
I know you don't know. Do you think?
I don't think so. You think so?
I kind of think so. Yeah. Yeah. I'm guessing there's going to be like 7 or 8 episodes because all these are like 7, 8 episodes. I think Book of Boba Fett was only 7. Or was Book of Boba Fett 9? I can't remember. But
8 episodes sounds about right.
Yeah, these have all been 8. But according to the Ahsoka trailer, it looks like there's a lot of other stuff going on besides Thrawn.
Right.
So I think there's issues that are going to be brought up, very similar to Book of Boba Fett. I think there's going to be a need for Mando to be there for some reason, just to try to connect these things. But Skeleton Crew is the one I don't know. I don't know how that fits into all this.
No idea. It'll be interesting to see how.
Yeah, I mean, Jude Law is somehow the connectivity.
I couldn't even throw a guess to you.
Well, rumor is that he could be a Jedi, so that would make sense that Ahsoka figures that out. But I don't know what he's been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
Because it's been a long time at this point since Order 66.
I literally could not even give a hypothesis as to how Skeleton Crew ties into all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like one that I feel like got pitched because that didn't come from Filoni and Favreau, but they're the ones that took it and decided to put it in the same universe like this. Oh, okay. It's all in the same universe,
right?
But in the same timeline and all that. So they must have had some idea originally for something like this, and yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see. Yeah, so I guess we've had so much TV lately with Bad Batch and Mando. Nothing now for a little while.
Yeah.
Next thing on the list, of course, like we said, Visions comes May the 4th. And then the only thing, Tales of the Jedi got announced, but I don't know if that's going to hit this year or not. Don't know. And like I said, Ahsoka is coming in August, which means August, September, October. Yeah, so that means Skeleton Crew will probably be sometime in December, I think.
Okay.
Towards the end of the year, yeah. But it'll kind of bleed into next year. Yeah, so then 2024, we got Acolyte, last season of The Bad Batch. And who knows if Mandalorian's coming back at all next year or not.
I have no idea.
No idea. All right. I didn't mention, I forgot to mention release dates here. Let's see. What was, this stuff from Celebration, that got announced. Return of the Jedi is A Certain Point of View, September 5th. Crimson Climb, October 10th. A couple novels. Phase 3 of High Republic kicks off in November. Comics this past week, you had Yoda number 6 and Son of Staros number 3. Next week, the new Vader series, Vader Black, White, and Red number 1 comes out. So that's a limited run, so go check that out. Of course, head over to the Mandalore podcast as we kind of wrap up finishing doing all those episodes. Mm-hmm. We're recording the finale on Sunday night. So we'll deep dive into that. Of course, check out all of our shows on YouTube. We just did a Beyond the Saga on there on The Princess and the Scoundrel. So go watch that, and Hannah and I will let you know what we thought about that book. More to come there. And, of course, again, thanks to our patrons, and go to patreon.com/InsideTheForce if you're going to go check out our tiers and see if you like to support the show that way. All right, Hannah. Thank you so much, as always.
Thank you. As always, thank you.
Take care, everybody. Go rewatch some Star Wars, right? Because you got really nothing new right now to watch. So we'll see y'all guys next week. Take care. May the Force be with you.